Hi everyone, welcome to Gypsy Woman Charm. I hope you guys had a wonderful Mother's Day yesterday. I did. I got to talk to my children, and I even got to speak to a couple of bonus children I have, so it was a wonderful day. Today in our video I have upcycled 3 items that I thrifted on my way to Arizona. These are items that had great bones. They just needed a little update or needed something just to elevate them a little bit for home decor. So 2 items I've decided I'm keeping for my own home, and 1 item I will put in my booth or online if somebody has an interest in them. So everything I use that I carry, I will have in my booth at Modern Vintage, 221 Trenton Street, West Monroe, Louisiana, in Antique Alley. If you're local or if you're driving this way, sometimes I'm there. Or I will have it on my website at gypsywomancharm.net. So you can come visit me there and see what I have to offer. We ship, and any shipping overages that you're charged on the website, I will refund. So I hope that you enjoy this video and enjoy the projects. So let's get started. Project 1. So I found this little hand sifter at the thrift store on my trip to Arizona. And I thought, well, we can do something with that to make it a cute piece of decor for the kitchen. So here, I cleaned it, wiped it down with alcohol really good. And then I took the Buttermilk Cream Fusion Mineral Paint. And it took me about 3 coats to give it a really good covering. Then I let it dry really good in between coats. I let it dry for several hours, and then I decided to use Whispering Willow IOD transfers, and I picked out some of the floral, and I'm just attaching it, and take the backing off, use the carrier sheet, and lay it where you want it, and be sure it's where you want it, because once it's down, it's down, it's going to stick. And then I just take the rubbing stick that's included in the transfer packet, and work my way around Sifter with the transfer. Now when you're putting a transfer on a curved area, it does take a little bit of extra attention, because you want to make sure that it's placed exactly where you want it without any gaps. Sometimes, not on this particular item, but sometimes on curved items, you need to make little snips in the transfer itself so that you can maneuver it for it to lay down flat. So then I'm going to take and I'm burnishing it, which means just I'm rubbing it with the transfer sheet to make sure that it's adhered really well to the sifter. But I want something that needs more, I feel like. So I'm looking through the Whispering Willow transfer, and I think, well, these berries would look really pretty with that floral, because that floral already has a couple of berries in it. So I decided to take it and trim it out a little bit and add it to complete the look. So after I've attached everything, I take and I burnish it again, burnish that one little part, and I'm happy with the way it turns out. I think it's so adorable. So now I just need to top coat it with Sweet Pickins Top Coat to make sure that everything is sealed and protected. Now as I'm doing this, I'm looking at it and I think it just needs something else. I wasn't sure what, but it needs something. So I decide to try to find a little tag that I can hang with some sari ribbon on it. So I found this tag that I had worked with previously, and it has it's a wood tag with rose paper on it. And I want to keep that rose paper, I want to keep that pink, but I decided it needs something else. So I took this little postage, I guess it's a postage stamp with a postage mark, and I found it in some remnants I had of some Roycycled paper. And I thought, well, if I put this over it, you'll be able to see through the paper, so you can see the red roses, but it gives some kind of detail on the top. So that's what I'm doing, and I'm using Fusion, Decoupage, and Transfer Gel to put the paper down with. So after it dries completely, then I take my little finger sander that I got off Amazon, and I'm taking off the edges of the paper. So then I decide just to use a little bit of brown wax to age it a little bit. So I take and just put a little bit on there around the edges just to give it a little bit of detail. And then I take my little Cricut instrument and I put the hole through the paper because there was already a hole in the tag. And then I take some sari ribbon, and I've had this ribbon forever, so I'm not real sure where I got it from, but I'm sure you can get some off of Etsy. And then I just attached it with the sari ribbon, and I think it just finishes it off. It makes it look so cute. I love the way it turned out. Project 2. So I found these two little birds in my thrifting adventure that somebody had painted, it looks like it's spray painted silver. And I decided I want to do just a little bit of something to it. So I took Fusion Mineral Paint's new Alchemy paint that's a limestone and chalk base paint. And I decided that I was just going to paint over it, but I still wanted a little bit of that silver showing through. So I decided to do that, and then after I'm going to wax it with white wax, so just to give it a three-dimensional look. This is just a real quick thrift flip. They are so pretty as is, but the silver just didn't do much for me, so I figured I would do just a little bit of paint effects and make it look just a little bit higher end. and they turned out so cute. I think I might keep them for myself and put them in a little vignette in my house. Project 3. Now I came across this little Kleenex box. It's wood, and it had a tag in the back. This said made in Italy, and by the looks of the tags, we're probably looking at about the 70s. So I'm going over it with Fusion Mineral Paint in the color Cathedral Taupe. I'm going to be decoupaging over this, and I thought the Cathedral Taupe would be the perfect color to go underneath the paper, and just to seal it too, because you don't know, even though I wiped it down and cleaned it up, you know, you want to seal it to make sure there's nothing bleeding through the paper. So then I decided to use vintage wallpaper from Roycycled and decoupage paper, and I'm using the Fusion Decoupage and Transfer Gel, and I'm just attaching this paper. I'm giving it a little spritz to stretch out the threads, and then going back over it. Now I'm just kind of winging it with the paper because I didn't really measure it out. I just kind of laid it over the top, and then I'm cutting it at the corners to fit it over, and I'm not worrying about where it opens because I'm going to go back after it's dry and cut in that groove to try to give it a seamless look. So you see me cutting off a piece, so I'm just trying to kind of miter the corners, and some of it, like here, I'm just laying this over the corner because then I'm going to go over it with an end piece. But just to make it where it's not real difficult, you know, make it easier. So here I'm cutting the corner again so that I can just fit it over that end and on the corners to try to give it a seamless look. Now the top had already dried, so I come in with an X-Acto knife and I'm going to cut away, not really close to the edges, but just the main piece, because I'm going to go back over it with my finger sander and sand it flush to give it a finished look. So here it is after it's all dried, and I'm taking that finger sander and getting into the opening really well to try to give it that finished look, and then I'm taking it around the end, the bottom of it, around the edges, and just taking the excess off. And again, I've let this dry for several hours. It works really well. If you try to do it before it's fully dried, you'll be ripping the paper and it's not pretty. So now the piece has been sealed with the decoupage gel, but so I'm going over it with the brown antiquing wax, and then to lighten it up a little bit after I put it on, I will take the clear wax and go back over it, because I don't want it super dark. I just want it to look old, which it is. So I just want it to look more vintage and not so new. So I'm putting the brown antiquing wax on, then I'm going back with the white wax. Now if I hadn't have already sealed it with the decoupage gel, I would have taken and sealed it with the clear wax first, then use the brown antiquing wax. But because it was already sealed, I could do it the other way around. I just love the way it turned out. It has that shabby chic look, which is right up my alley. I love that look. And it will definitely be going into my household and in my bedroom probably. And I love it. Thank you so much for joining me in this video, and I hope you enjoyed the projects. And if you did, please subscribe, and you can join me every Monday when I put a new video out. And come and visit me at gypsywomancharm.net. And thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. God bless.